Have you ever sat around doing absolutely nothing, but then a random thought comes in your mind? I wonder how many types of cheese there are. So you go to the nearest device you can find to do a little research. Did you know there are almost 2,000 varieties of cheese? And now that you've done your research, you've begun to get curious. You wonder if you should stop. But you've come so far, you can't give up now. You have to see this through to the end. And now I'm here, talking to a bunch of random people about a bunch of random types of cheese, simply because I have nothing better to do. So without further ado, I present to you the tier list of cheese. Now I know what you might be thinking. Why cheese? Out of anything, you chose cheese. Well, I have two reasons for that. One, why not? And two, who doesn't like cheese? But I'm lactose intolerant. Well, besides that. So, moving on. Mozzarella. Everybody knows this cheese. It's an absolute staple. And it's a foundation for pretty much anything. Pizza, lasagna, certain types of salads and spaghetti. You name it. Definitely an S tier. American cheese. This is also another cheese that a lot of people know well, but it's very limited. Sure, the cheese tastes good, but you can't really make much with it. I mean, all I've ever been able to make with American cheese has been cheeseburgers. And that's not really saying much, but the cheese does taste good, so I'll put it in A tier. Blue cheese. Either you hate it, or you think it tastes extremely strong. I'm not personally a fan of this one. I mean, I can see the appeal. Like if you were baking something and you wanted to exaggerate the cheese flavor, then I would see why you would want to put blue cheese in there. But if there isn't a bunch of other ingredients blocking out the taste, I think it tastes horrible on its own. I'm sorry, but it's going in F tier. Asiago cheese. Our first Italian cheese on the list. When it comes to making cheese, there are two types, pressed and ripened. Pressed cheese has a creamy texture to it, while ripened cheese has a strong and flavorful taste to it. And Asiago cheese is heavily dependent on whether it's pressed or ripened. If you are making lasagna, you would want that creamy texture that pressed offers. But if you are doing anything else, you would want it somewhere within the middle. So it's nothing terrible, but it's also nothing great. C tier for sure. Parmesan cheese. Now I have quite the history with Parmesan cheese. Now I know that might sound weird, and it probably does, but I don't care, because every time I would have spaghetti, I would always end up putting way too much Parmesan cheese on the pasta. And every time I would eat spaghetti with someone, they would say, "Wow, Kale, that's a lot of Parmesan cheese. It's like a whole cheese mountain." Oh, you don't even know the half of it, do you? I can't even begin to explain to you guys the problem I have with cheese on spaghetti. Spaghetti usually has a lot of sauce, right? So if you just sprinkle a little bit of cheese on the spaghetti, it won't be enough. The flavor of the sauce will completely overpower the little bit of cheese that you put on there. That's why I put so much Parmesan cheese on my spaghetti, so it can evenly distribute the flavor. I can't believe I need to pour a potent amount of Parmesan on my pasta every time I have spaghetti just to even out the flavor. But besides that, the cheese is pretty good. B tier. Cottage cheese. This one is also pretty bad. It's like it's halfway between milk and cheese, which gives it this really weird and bad texture. You can imagine it like milk that has been sitting out for a day, or two, or maybe even 3. Point is, it tastes bad, like the milk you have spoiling in your fridge right now. So it's going in D tier. Cheesecake. I don't know if this one counts, since there are a lot of cheesecake that don't actually use cheese in their recipes, but I don't care, this is my video. Almost everyone I've asked has said they like cheesecake, and who could blame them? With a soft cracker bottom, the sweet filling, and the creamy icing on top. It has all the qualities of cheese while still tasting like cake. I mean, sure, it's not healthy or anything, but it's still worth having a dessert every once in a while. So why not have that dessert be cheesecake? Definitely S tier. Cheddar cheese. There are a lot of things flavored after cheddar cheese, and rightfully so too. Cheddar is a good cheese, but it's also a very strong cheese, which is why you would only sprinkle a little bit of it on anything you were to eat. Because if you were to eat a lot of cheddar cheese at once, it would be very bad for you. So that's why it's going in B tier. Now I want to take a second to appreciate the fruits of our labor. All of this came to fruition because of one random thought. So if you have some random thought, it shouldn't have to stay like that. You should share that idea with as many people as you can to make sure it's brought to fruition as well, or else it's just going to sit at the back of your mind forever. Besides, as a wise man once said, you can never have too much cheese.